The first week of training camp is over, and one thing is obvious. The feel for this Eagles team is completely different than it was at the end of last year. And I think one of the big reasons why, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, kick Dingbat here, and the Eagles feel completely and utterly different than they did at the end of the last year. And just because you haven't heard the name CJ Gardner-Johnson a lot this week, it doesn't mean he isn't making an impact on this team. Because I feel he brings a swagger and energy that the Eagles didn't have last year that is now obvious in the first week of training camp. And we're going to talk all about it. But before we do that, we got some Cowboys breaking news. Now, this is big for the Cowboys. They're already off to a really bad start of training camp. And some people might say, well, they're not off to a bad start. But listen, when your best player, your best offensive player is holding out, your quarterback's not happy about his money, and then your best defensive player wants a pay raise too, and you can't go out and get people, you're off to a bad start. When you're talking about off-season stuff during training camp, you're not doing good. And to add insult to injury, we actually had an injury. Get this. Tom Pelez-Cesario said this. Pound Cowboys defensive end Sam Williams is feared to have a torn ACL in practice today. Sources tell me at Rap Sheet he'll have an MRI to confirm a tough blow early to the Cowboys. And I wish nobody injury. I don't want anybody injured. I hope he gets well soon. I hope it's not that bad. But in terms of the Cowboys and what they're going through, man, you could just stack L after L after L right there. This team, I'm telling you, I think Jerry Jones is about to blow it up. We may not have a lot of Mark Holmes complete meltdowns of falling off the seat this year because they may be so bad that by the time you get into like December when it's Cowboys choke season, there's nothing to choke. They're already dead. So it's going to be kind of crazy. Now, as far as our Eagles are concerned, today was their first day off of training camp. So they're off today. They'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be back with the live streams for training camp when that takes place. But we do got to talk about Tyler Steen, because it looks like Tyler Steen has been injured. Jeff McClain wrote this. Offensive lineman Tyler Steen suffered a mild ankle injury yesterday at Pound Eagles practice and could miss the next few days of training camp, an NFL source said. Steen left Saturday practice early and has been the first team right guard so far. The job is considered open. Darian Kinnard took Steen's place after he left. So it's going to be interesting, and we wish Steen a quick recovery. It only looks like it's going to be a few days. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do here, what the plan is. Do you go with Kinnard? Are you going to play Keegan? Or do you sit there next practice and assuming everybody else is healthy and you put Mekhi Becton at right guard? It seems like the plan with Mekhi Becton is we just want you wherever there's a need. So you need to play right tackle, play right tackle. You need to play left tackle, play left tackle. You need to play left guard, play left. Wherever there's a need, they'll put them. So they may look at these other guys. I would not mind seeing Keegan make a play and get some reps. So that's one thing I'll be watching closely tomorrow. Who's getting reps for Tyler Steen as he's going to miss a few days? And thank God it's only a few days, I think the Eagles' offensive line is, look, most people will acknowledge it's already one of the best offensive lines in football. But I think it's going to be even better than what people think. All right, so it will be interesting to see how the Eagles approach it with Becton and with Steen. So far, so good on offense. I would say overall, the first week of training camp, you've got to look at it. And Jalen Hurts obviously has been super impressive. Barkley is Barkley. He looks great. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown look like they're going to have monster years. Goddard has even gotten involved early, which I think is a good thing. And then really, I would say the surprise for me, the surprise of training camp after the first week is Paris Campbell. And I know some people may be going, well, man, I don't know, you didn't think much of him. I didn't. I didn't think that he was going to provide us with really anything. I didn't think that we would get what we're getting from him. So I'm pleasantly surprised at what we've seen from Paris Campbell this year. I think it's very important and it's a big deal. And it's good to see Campbell making a play. Now, my boy Anaya Smith will make his move when the time is right. And it's going to happen. You guys just watch. Anaya Smith will be the starter by the end of the year. But I like having Paris Campbell. And listen, I hope John Ross can make this team too. I just love those guys with speed, Let them play. This team, like I said in the intro, it's a completely different feel than it was even earlier, if you go back 1 year in the training camp, we're all talking about coming off a Super Bowl and stuff like that. I think there was a lot of assumptions that, all right, we just played in Super Bowl. We could get back there. We're a pretty good team, and everybody knew we were talented. But things happen, and it didn't work out that way. I just feel like this team has a lot of good vibes to it early on. I get the feeling more of, the year we went to the Super Bowl, right? 2 years ago. I get the more of that feeling than the feeling of last year. So I get more of the 2022 feeling than the 2023 feeling with this team. And a big part of that, especially on the defense, and I think the most underrated thing that nobody's even talking about for this team right now in the first week of training, we're not talking about it. And you don't talk about it because it's a good thing in a way, but you haven't heard much about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We know he's out there, we know he's playing, but the energy that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the energy that he's bringing to this team is huge, and it's something that we vastly missed last year. Like I've said before, there is no way in hell that the 49ers come out before that game against us and treat our players the way they do if C.J. Gardner-Johnson's there. It doesn't happen. And to get him back is huge. A lot of people think, around the league, I guess they think C.J. is just like, yeah, he's an all right safety and stuff. People forget. He has played the safety position 2 years, and last year he was hurt for most of the year. But you can't, you can even look at what Detroit, what he did with them, right? Early on in the year, he makes an impact. They go up into Kansas City, opening Thursday night of the football season, they win. You look at how, and the impact he made coming back for the playoffs. C.J. Gardner-Johnson brings a swagger and an energy, and I think he's underrated. And the fact that he hasn't played safety that long, I think people really don't understand how good of a safety he could be. I think by the end of this year, he will get his due. He will be considered one of the best safeties in football. I think he's very underrated at the safety position. There was an article, Eagles training camp notes, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's energy. Sirianni meetings, update wide receiver 3. And they talk about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they talk about what he brings to this team. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is not going to let anybody get away with anything. You have a bad day, you don't give your all, he's coming at you. He is going to come at you, and he is going to make a big impact. He's going to let you have it. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the energy that he is bringing so far, to me, is huge. Now, you don't believe me about it? Listen to what Dallas Goedert had to say about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And you tell me that this wasn't something that we missed last year and that we definitely have now that's huge. Here's what he said about C.J. Gardner-Johnson and practicing against him. Man, C.J., he's definitely a special dude, tight end Dallas Goedert said. My biggest thing for him is he's the same person every day. He's over the top with excitement. He loves being out here playing. He loves talking trash, but at the same time, you respect him, he respects you. It's nothing disrespectful. It's really fun. He brings the energy. If you have a bad play, he's going to let you know about it. If you have a good play, he's going to give you a high five, and that's how it should be. He's going to hold everybody accountable, but that's the same thing he holds himself to a high standard. And listen, I do think legitimately that this defense missed that last year. They missed it. You can feel it in games. They missed what C.J. Gardner-Johnson, what he brought to the table. I mean, listen, you think that the Eagles let him go, let him walk, go to Detroit, and then come back because he just played decent safety? Nah, he was so much more to that. C.J. Gardner-Johnson could be the glue. And there was an article about it. I'll put the link in the description. C.J. Gardner-Johnson could be the glue that holds the Eagles' defense together in 2024. I can buy that because C.J. Gardner-Johnson, in my opinion, natural-born leader, okay, but the team feeds off him. I think in a lot of aspects they feed off Brandon Graham as well. But C.J. Gardner-Johnson was greatly missed, especially in that secondary. And now, with the energy he brings back this year, it's going to be huge. But he's also a guy who hasn't played a lot of safety, and his best days at the safety position are just starting. With that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the live. Take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. You know, when I say, man, it could always be worse, you could be a Cowboy fan. I ain't lying. That's the truth. I mean, I like look at Mark's his videos, his channel. He's so depressed. Like I'm worried about they're gonna have to put him on something. He's so depressed. They're literally talking about off the season issues in camp. We're a week in training camp, and they're talking about it. Do you know Thursday is the first preseason game, Hall of Fame game, Thursday night next week? Same day as the Eagles open practice, by the way. But that team is a depressing team. They need to get buried. They need to get crushed. And they need to finish in last place. That's just the truth. Denzel Washington out.
Hi, Michael Anthony Fitness here, MAF.
That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.